But if we look at the roles of leader, and we as leaders want to be increasing our influence, that's where the leverage comes in. What do we do? And where does the role of the leader start? So if we go to the top of the list, who would have thought visionary? Anybody thought visionary would be at the top? Hanny thought so, yeah. Hanny's running a team. So you might see things differently when you're running a team as an individual agent. And I should say I was an individual agent for the first almost 10 years. I've been doing team for 15. So I've done every one of those roles from being an individual to a team leader. So top of the list, to be an incredible leader, it's visionary. Then preacher, believe it or not. Then strategist, teacher, mentor, manager, coach, sergeant, and then worker. Where do you fall in as a leader? Where do you think you fall in? I'm going to touch on the top 3 because if you're starting a team, these are the 3 that you really need to focus in on. So visionary is something very, very simple. It's not super complex. It's got to be simple. It's got to be uplifting. It's almost got to be like a cocktail talk. So you're hanging out with friends and they're asking you, hey, what's the vision of your company? It's got to be so simple. It's so easy to talk about. It's not convoluted. It doesn't take you 30 minutes to describe it. It's just easy. If you think of Henry Ford, what did Henry Ford say? What was his vision? Every family is going to own a car. That was his vision. Very simple. At a cocktail, hey, Henry, what do you do? I'm making cars for every family in the world. Oh, okay. What is your vision as an individual, a leader, whether that's team or individual? It needs to be inclusive, so includes the entire world or the entire system that you're working in, believable but challenging, and a very vivid description of what that is. We at Eximus, our tagline is the experience you want. That's our tagline, the experience you want, which is almost the vision statement. We want to create an experience for every individual, buyer or seller, that comes through our doors. We want to create an experience that is uncommon, exceptional, extraordinary, and superb. So visionary. Preacher. Now this one gets a little heavy. Like, what do you mean preacher? Well, preacher means that you've taken your vision statement and now you're going to sell it. You're going to sell it to the entire world and you're going to be charismatic about it. You're going to be charismatic with Jordan. So Jordan met me about, 14 months ago? 15 months ago? Was I charismatic about my vision and my office? Yeah. So being very charismatic and convicted about it, knowing the ground rules and saying what they are. By the way, does anybody have standards in their life? How about standards for your team? Yeah, standards are very important so you know the start and the finish of all things. A preacher needs to be very good at storytelling and explaining why we do things the way we do and why we've accomplished this. And you become a bit of an evangelistic about it. I think the bottom is probably the best. Finds order in chaos. So when things are going crazy, the preacher can bring it all together. Okay, guys, by the way, it's nuts out there, but this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to get it done. Or when it's not happening, complacency is happening in your office, what do you do? And the last one I'll touch on is being a strategist. So important. Again, it's got to be simple. You have to have strategy in all that you do. Of course, it's got to be convincing. Balancing based on your organizational needs at all times. Breakthrough strategies. When the market changes, you have to have new strategies. I've got, we call it the weapons at our office. What weapons do I have for the market? And I'll even share those weapons with our sellers and buyers when we don't need those in the marketplace. So for instance, let's just say the market gets really soft and you can't produce offers for your sellers. What do you do? What do you do? Do you have a strategy for that? Sometimes your strategies just have to be convincing to your seller so they stay on board because they get discouraged so quickly. So one of the seller strategies if the market gets really challenging, we call it the reverse offer. Who's heard of the reverse offer? Right. That's where we know that somebody's interested in this property, but they will not write an offer. So we're going to reverse engineer an offer. We're going to go to our sellers and say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we know these folks have been through our home 2 times, 3 times. They just can't make a decision. There's too much inventory on the market, or they think there's a better property coming up. How do we get them to buy our house? And so we as sellers write an offer back to the buyers. So we reverse engineer this process. Looking for strategies to be different and find ways to win. Focus on the forks on the road. So every day we come to decisions and we have to go left or right in a lot of cases. So what are the forks in the road? No prisoner's attitude, being a strategist, no prisoner's attitude. And of course, modern market strategies. So what's happening in the marketplace and how are we strategizing against or for those situations in the marketplace. Just want to touch quickly on the forks in the road. Option A, principle of irreversible technique of credible alternatives. That's a lot of big words. It's a lot of big words, but basically what it's saying is there something else that's credible for us to do in this situation, but if we do it, it's irreversible. We can't go backwards. Or option B, is there a decision that needs to be made that is super controversial? Like we have these things that come at us every day. Some of us just don't deal with them. But if you really want to be a leader, these are the things that you have to say, no, we're going this direction or we're going that direction.